Hello and welcome back to the All Out Brits Podcast, the podcast that brings you everything you'd expect from a podcast talking about the NFL, but from the comfort of our lovely homes across the seas here in England. And this week, in week 8 of the NFL, it all went down. We saw Anthony Richardson have a lower completion percentage this season than we saw the Lions put up points. And we also saw on National Tight Ends Day multiple tight end scores. And I tell you what, there must have been men all over the world seeing that success with these tight end scores, asking and pitching these plays to their wives and girlfriends. And as always, a man that probably had the same amount as attempted passes for tight end scores is the main man here, Mr. Greenwood. How successful were we this week? How happy were we with this week? And how are we doing, first of all, Mr. Greenwood?
Mate, I'm doing all right. Love the intro. Happy tight ends day. Great week for the tight ends. It's been a position in fantasy that we've all had kind of cussing out all season. But the tight ends, they turned up and delivered on the national holiday, like you say, brother. This week we've had some ups and we've had some personal downs. The personal downs started, as I'm sure you will mention, Taryn, on Sunday night as the clocks went back, as the clock struck midnight. And in the Bay Area of San Francisco, something went down. But I'm sure we'll talk about that. On the other side of that, I did win in fantasy, which we will touch on later on.
Yeah.
So we've broken the four losing streak. But yeah, let's rock and roll, mate. Let's get into this.
Let's get straight into it, and let's talk about the fact that this podcast was on the ropes this week. There was talks, there was trades, there was everything. It could have been end and done, and I think a lot of people have been very happy about that. But it's not, because we've managed to get back in a room together, and we're going to have a conversation about the Niners versus the Cowboys. Now, there was a wonderful preemptive TikTok posted by myself, which said that the Niners were going to stomp the Cowboys. Probably a little bit closer to comfort, but the Cowboys could not come away with the win. Again, we know the play type that you've got. You know the playbook that you say will beat the Cowboys every single time. How good do you think the Niners were at completing that playbook to finish off the Cowboys this week?
Not very good at it, mate. I'll be honest. They went a different way. They went more the aerial route. They went more the Brock Purdy route. And in particular, one man that he loves to throw the ball to, and one man that absolutely fucking hates the Dallas Cowboys is a man called George Kittle. That Ben Franklin motherfucker, that homeless motherfucker, he's an ugly boy, all right? But for some reason, he always turns up against the Cowboys. He always goes in for 6, and he always does some nasty, nasty deeds against us. I'll be honest, if you'd have given me at the start of the day, Dak Prescott, 4 points down, with 2 minutes left on the clock, going for the win, with the ball in his hands, I'd have probably bitten your hand off at that. Garbage time Dak Prescott is unbelievable.
It really is.
He got us back in the game. He got CeeDee Lamb the ball. But obviously, then when he got the ball, when it actually mattered, playoff Dak Prescott came out to full effect. I'm not surprised. I'm not shocked. I'm not upset. I'm not disappointed. I'm probably the only realistic Cowboys fan that was out there. I think we just tank and let's attack the draft hard this year. Let's just try and let's damage limitation. Start the rebuild. Trade away Micah Parsons. And let's just get loads of picks. But yeah, congratulations, mate. San Francisco 49ers. Now go 5-0, I think, in the last 5 against the Cowboys. Honestly, every time we go to San Francisco, we just get slapped with a belt. Nothing more can be said. What have you got to say for your side of things, mate?
Yeah, tough day out for yourselves. And I'll tell you what, to have defeated this man's ego is, wow, trying for years. It only took the Niners to, slap out the Cowboys one more time to do it. And wow, very, very impressed. For myself, for the Cowboys, first of all, I think a big thing is playing from behind, like you mentioned before. And a big part of that is this run game that everyone keeps talking about. Now, Dalvin Cook was activated, Zeke Elliott as well involved, but they had 55 yards of total rushing. It's poor. It really is poor. But I think from the start of the game, they had chances. The Niners D is really susceptible to the run game. It really, really is this year. And I think as hard as the Niners play, they did give up a lot of yards rushing. But playing from behind, you have to abandon that run game. And I think when that happens, Prescott gets put under pressure. All that money in his eyes, money in his bank account doesn't matter because he cannot throw an accurate pass to save his life. And I think that's a big letdown at the moment. I think a game where the Cowboys could get in front, establish that run game, again, I think it will slowly but slowly start working better. I only say that with gritted teeth because I'm about to absolutely glaze the Niners here. Wow, Brock Purdy didn't throw an interception, Mr. Greenwood. Can you believe it? Mahomes threw more interceptions than Purdy. And he had some dodgy wobbler passes. It was an unbelievable day out. Absolutely unbelievable. But again, this is the 49ers that I love. I want reverses. I want jet sweeps. I want everyone getting involved. Brock Purdy had near 60 yards on the ground. Unbelievable. He's not a running back. He's not a running QB. But he can make plays. That's what I want from my quarterback. I don't want him lobbing it to nobody there. I've just realised how brummy I'm sounding right now.
I was literally going to say, you sound so dirty right now, bro. You fucking Come on.
And so that is a 49ers team that I love. I think the most disappointing thing, Jordan Mason goes out of the game. Deebo Samuel goes out of the game again. Cannot keep him healthy to save his life. But Isaac Guerrero, another rookie, a big, big part of this Niners team is the running game. No run game, no Niners. And I tell you what, without Isaac Guerrero coming in, I think the Niners lose that game. He was a really big part, really understated part of why the Niners won that game, mate.
Yeah. I think, like you say, running the ball against the Cowboys always works. I was really very much impressed with Brock Purdy. The fact that you haven't mentioned it, mate, you have indirectly, but Brock Purdy got more rushing yards than the entire Dallas Cowboys offense.
I'll leave that for you.
I'll throw that one in there for you. Yeah, cheers, mate. Cheers. Did you see after the game as well, Trayvon Diggs getting into a little bit of a tussle with one of the reporters, questioning his effort. He basically just called him a bitch for what he did on one of the plays where George Kittle went miles down the field. I think, it's one of those games where I can't feel bad about it because we never were expected to win.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you look at like projections ahead for the season, we're now got a less than a 30% chance of making the playoffs. You and the Niners, though, bro, have only got less than a 50% chance of making the playoffs. So it's kind of ropes for both of our teams, to be honest with you. You're sat at 4-4, we're sat at 3-4. Both teams need to look at kind of turning it around for the rest of the way, don't they, bro?
And I think it will do. I think the bye weeks come at an ideal time for the Niners. I think it probably came, probably a week too late for the Cowboys. I think they could have done with it being this week and after the Niners game, regrouping. But now, obviously, Cowboys got to look ahead. I think CMC, possible return after the bye, get people healthy again. I think, again, it's a very, very tough and competitive NFC this year. Same with the AFC. You have to win your games. You have to keep picking up, these wins at home or away. And I think it's very, very important that the Niners keep the momentum after the bye and fix all these little dodgy play calling issues. Mr. Shanahan, you're still useless, but I'll let you off this week for beating the Cowboys. But we'll move swiftly on to a game which Swifty was a big part of it, and that was the Bears versus the Commanders. Mr. DeAndre Swift had a very big part to play in this game, but so did a man called Jaden Daniels. Can you believe what happened when the two rookies faced off this week?
Mate, how good was this game? How good was this game? And when I say this game, I mean the last 30 seconds of this game, okay? You got Caleb Williams there, the first overall pick. He sat there under center. He goes down the field with 2 minutes left on the clock. And with about 20 seconds and change left, he gives the ball to his running back on 2nd and goal. And he punches it in. And the Bears go up. All the fans in the crowd go wild. The Bears are winning a competitive game against a good Commanders side. And then Jaden Daniels gets his hand on the ball. Okay, he gets his hand on the ball. He throws an incomplete pass. He then throws a ball over the middle. Timeout. Thank you very much, Dan Quinn. And then another incomplete pass. He then gets a short sideline throw to 17, Terry McLaurin. And then 2 seconds left on the clock. Okay, he drops back. He scrambles. He runs around. He throws up a prayer. A will and a prayer. It gets battered. No, Brown comes down with a catch. Taryn are calling it the miracle of Maryland because that boy could play football very, very well. It was, the first overall pick versus the 3rd overall pick, and the 3rd came out with the W, mate. That Washington Commanders team looks for real, and the scenes after that game, Taryn, they were just incredible, weren't they, mate?
They really were. And I think, like you said, for the last 30 seconds, a pretty good game. I think the defense on both sides of the ball had a very good day out. I think they really disrupted the offense on both sides. I thought Caleb Williams that last drive in particular, I thought he looked really, really good. I thought the play calling in parts, then there was a designed run somewhere towards the end was a bit sort of shaky, but I thought he led the team with so much composure. And you know what? We're starting to see what everyone else saw in this number one quarterback pick. Obviously, after the bye, had a bit of a break. They're rejoining again. And I thought, again, he just looks like he's getting better and better each week. But Jaden Daniels, rib injury, my arse. The only injury he's got is going to be celebrating too hard after that game because, wow. I mean,
well done.
It was a bit dodgy, the time added onto the clock, I will say. I don't think they had a second left, but we'll let that slide. But yeah, I mean, first of all, let's talk about Tyreek Stevenson, the absolute muppet, giving it large to all of the Commanders fans. Whilst the play's on, not even before or after the play's on. Jaden Daniels is breaking ankles down the other side of the pitch.
Turn around, face the play. What you doing?
What's he doing? And then he comes along and he Maradonas it. He punches it into his hands. Absolutely ridiculous. I tell you what, I honestly I'd pay so much money to be in that film room meeting on Monday morning. The way I'd be zooming on that donkey and it would just be sitting there and watching him muppet for a good 50 minutes. Nothing about the game, just this muppet. Absolutely outrageous. And I think it's just probably one of the funniest moments I've seen in the NFL and God knows how long.
Mate, I think some prime goalkeepers could take after him. The way that he got up to the ball, palmed it over the bar. Andre Onana, you got to watch out, bro. He's coming for your job. But yeah, mate, obviously the Commanders have looked sensational this season. Topping the NFC East. Mm-hmm. At the moment, they're sat at the number 2 ranked team, Taryn, with a rookie quarterback, with a head coach in his first year in the team. That's quite a good look for the Washington Commanders. Yeah. They've got a bright future, bro. And I can see Jaden Daniels' jersey selling out very, very quickly over here in the UK.
100%. And I think you've got an LSU on there to represent the main man himself. And he's doing unbelievably well. Now, a team that were doing unbelievably well up until this weekend was the Baltimore Ravens. And somehow the Cleveland Browns, without their dodgy quarterback at the helm, came around and absolutely pooped on their parade. What a crazy game between the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens, wasn't it, mate?
It was incredible, mate. And like you say, Deshaun Watson, the dodgy... I saw a clip about him this week, actually, and I want to mention it. Do you think he's a better quarterback or a better person? Because he's a very, very bad quarterback. But I think he's a better person than he is quarterback at this point, bro. Like, genuinely. Because he is an awful man. Awful man.
He's an awful man, yeah.
But have you seen the way that he throws the rock on the field, all right? Because it ain't very good. And obviously, Jameis Winston with the 3 fingers biting his hand away because he gets the W for the Cleveland Browns, moving them to 2 wins on the season. Deshaun Watson hadn't had a 300-plus yard game for the Cleveland Browns. Jameis Winston comes in and has 1 in his first start for them this season. He looked incredible, over 300 yards, slinging the rock, 3 touchdowns, getting the ball all over the field, and defeating what is a fantastic Baltimore Ravens team. Okay, let's not understate that this is a very, very good defense with very good coaching, very, very good players all over the field, especially in that secondary. And to tear it up like that, he's nothing short of impressive, mate. What did you think of him, and what did you think of the Cleveland Browns this week?
Again, I mentioned it probably a few times before. I think it is so good to see the resurgence of quarterbacks this season. I think it's really brought a lot to the league. I think if we were, probably more clued up on half these quarterbacks and their careers and watched them growing up as kids, the nostalgia feeling would be absolutely unbelievable. But we aren't. And so we can only comment on what we could see before us. But it's so good to see these absolute ballers, these pocket passers just absolutely deliver. And now, on the flip side of that, with Mr. Lamar Jackson, I said this on the podcast before, that man under pressure really, really struggles. And I think that when you put pressure on this guy, if you close that and you contain him and he can't run out of it, and he tried about 1 million times and he would try as hard as he can, he really, really struggles. And I think there was quite a few plays where he set the team, 20, 30 yards back trying to scramble, or just really missed on a few of these downs. Obviously, was pretty poor with the ball in his hands. I think the run game saved him, to be honest with you. a few drop catches, to say the very, very least, from his receiving core. And they've addressed that, bringing in Deontay Johnson today for a late round pick. But for the Baltimore Ravens, it's a pretty embarrassing loss, because it did look like a game that they should have not lost whatsoever. What do you think Deontay Johnson will add to this offense for him?
Hopefully a receiver who can catch the ball. Hopefully a receiver who can spread the field a little bit. Obviously, because you saw what he did in Carolina with a shocking quarterback play from the likes of Andy Dalton and Bryce Young. So what he can do when Lamar Jackson's thrown in the box is going to be really interesting to see. Obviously, that receiving core now looks pretty decent. Obviously, Zay Flowers, Johnson as well, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely. Mark Andrews last so this season, and obviously Derrick Henry in the backfield. It looks a fantastic unit. I think this is a blip in the road for the Ravens. I don't think this is kind of like this isn't going to define the season. It's not going to derail the season at all. Yeah. But I do think it's definitely worth talking about the momentum that Cleveland are going to get off this, and the way that they're going to be able to turn around what has been a shocking season. And with new quarterback play, we saw that they did it at the back end of last season. A fresh veteran quarterback coming in. Then it was Joe Flacco. Now it's Jameis Winston. Hopefully, again, it can turn around the franchise. Positive outcomes for all the players. And can they make a... Well, I say can they make a playoff push? It's going to be a struggle for them to make the playoffs. I'm not going to lie to you, bro. But can they just play some good football? Can they give the fans something to cheer? I think they can.
100%. I think the Cleveland fans will be very, very happy with that. I mean, defense has been lauded for years, but now trading away Amari Cooper and still probably having greater productivity this season than we've ever seen for the Browns is absolutely unbelievable. Now finally looking, they've got a bit of stability, but they've still got $60 million on the books for the next few years, which isn't too great, and a topic we'll probably talk about a little later on. Any final words for Week 8, Mr. Greenwood? Anything that you feel you need to get off your chest?
Fuck the Niners. Fuck Dak. Let's move on, bro. I'm sick and tired of the Cowboys.
Well, before we go,
I'm sure you got something to say.
I want to say something. I really do.
I'm here to listen.
I think it needs to be played.
No.
This man has to go. Say it again.
This man has to go.
But which man has to go? You tell me, Mr. Greenwood, on one final touch. Who's going from this Cowboys team? Is it going to be the management staff? Is it going to be Mr. Jerry Jones? Or is it going to be Mr. Dak Prescott himself?
A, B, and C, mate. A, B, and C. Get rid of them all.
That was the correct answer. You win a prize. Congratulations, mate.